My name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the GMAT. We have been solving GMAT math problems out of this book here, the GMAT Review, the official guide, 13th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 275, and today is our lesson number 10. Let's take a look at it. Problem number 7. If n is an integer, we're told that n is an integer, and the question simply is n plus 1 odd? That's all. Is this quantity odd? Based on the fact that n is an integer, can you tell us whether n plus 1 is going to be odd? Let's look at first statement. To tell us that n plus 2 is even. Well, that makes it easy. If n plus 2 is even, that implies that n must be even. N must be even. Because if 4 plus 2 is even, then of course 4 is even. You subtract 2 from whatever. If 6 is even, then 6 minus 2 must be even. And if 4 is even, then 4 minus 2 must be even, and so on and so forth. That also implies if n is even, that implies that n plus 1 must be odd. Whatever that n is, if you were to add 1 to it, it will become odd. So that statement by itself is good enough. First statement does the job. The first statement does the job. So what we have to do is write down here A, D, B, C, E. And since first statement works, that tells us that the answer cannot be B, C, or E. It's got to be either A or a D. Let's look at second statement. The second statement tells us that n minus 1 is odd. Again, the same logic. If n minus 1 is odd, that implies that n must be even. N must be even, because you see, here's your n, which is even, and therefore n minus 1 is odd. If n minus 1 is odd, then n must be even. And that implies in return, and that implies that n plus 1 must be odd. So that also is good enough for us to be able to answer the question, is n plus 1 odd? The answer is yes. The information in the second statement is also enough, which means that the correct answer is D. Both of these statements independently have enough information for us to be able to answer the question. That's it. That's all it is. That's it. We're done with it. Let's go on to the next question, number 8. So that was very simple, very straightforward. Once in a while we get lucky. Number 8. We are told that the annual rate of return I take it back, we are not told anything. We are being asked if the annual rate of return for the investment J greater or investment K greater. Is the annual rate of return greater for J or is it greater for K? Let's look at what the first statement tells us. The first statement that tells us, it says for which type of investment J or K is the annual rate of return greater. And the first statement that tells us that J returns $115 per 1,000. Well, there you go. $115 per 1,000. That's the return on J. For any 1 year period. That's important that the period that they're specifying is the same. Because if this thing gives us $115 every hour as opposed to $120 every year, then obviously that makes a difference. The periods have to be the same. And K returns $300 per 2,500. So there's your K. K returns $300 per $2,500 for the same period of time, I hope. Invested for any 1 year period. So they are the length of period is the same, the length of time is the same. So the question now is, are we able to tell, is it possible to be able to tell return on which investment is greater? Of course, the answer is yes. We don't actually have to do it all out. It's not necessary here. They're not asking you what the return is for J. They're not asking us what the return is on K. They're simply asking us, are we able to tell which one is greater? To which the answer is yes. This is of course a numerical value. This is a numerical value. It's just a matter of calculating the two figures and tell which one is greater. That's all. So the first statement does the job. A, D, B, C, E. Since the first statement works by itself, the answer cannot be B, C, or E. It's got to be either A or D. Let's look at second statement. The second statement says K is 12%. Rate of return on K is 12%. So simply knowing that the rate of return on K is 12% rate of return, does not tell us anything at all about the rate of return on J. So it's fine and dandy that it's 12%, but what about J? Unless we know the rate of return on J, we cannot tell which one is greater. The question is the annual rate of return greater for J or is it greater for K? Well, just knowing K by itself doesn't do it. So therefore the answer is A. The answer is A. That's all. Now just out of curiosity, you should notice here, okay, listen very carefully, you should notice here that the information that they give you in the two statements on the data sufficiency questions, they never conflict each other. They substantiate each other. So if you do your work, if you did your work based on what information that is given in the first statement, and if I find out that Michael is 5-year-old, and then you do your work based on the information that is given in the second statement, and all of a sudden Michael is 37 years old, something is wrong. Because they are consistent. If Michael turned out to be 5 years old in the first statement, based on the information on the first statement, then Michael cannot be anything but 5-year-old based on the information in the second statement. And if they do not agree, something has gone wrong. Let's find out if this is the case here. Here they tell us this K is 12%. Let's find out what is 12% of 2500, shall we? Let's find out what is 12% of 2500. How should we do it? So here's your 2500. 10% of 2500. 10% of 2500 is 250. 1% of 2500. 1% of 2500, we just crossed out the two zeros. That's $25. And another 1% of 2500 would be another $25. So 10% plus 1% plus 1%, that's your 12% right there. And let's see what these add up to. What do you know? It adds up to $300, just like this over here. So this in fact is 12%, and therefore it agrees with what we are told in the second statement. They never contradict each other. They always, as I said, they substantiate each other. That's one way of checking your work, to make sure that nothing has gone cuckoo. That was the end of that. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll just continue doing the problems. This was problem number 8. So we'll go to the citrus fruit grower tomorrow. Okay? Bye now.